My original mission was here in Philadelphia at Our Lady of the Blessed Sacrament on Broad Street. That's gone. And then I was in New York for 5 years, and then in Washington, D.C. for 3 years. That was very interesting too. And then I went to the South, to the country area, what we call the rural area of Louisiana, both farmland and sugarcane and oil fields. Back in the late 60s, we went through the civil rights movement. Johnson passed a law saying we had to integrate the schools. The public schools integrated, but the Catholic schools didn't. At that time, Mother David Young was our president. She went to see Bishop Schexnayder, and she told him that he was helping segregation. And of course, he said he wasn't. So she told him he had to integrate the Catholic schools, and he refused. So she said, if you don't, you will find yourself on national TV. Anyway, the process went into effect. And in all the places where we had a Catholic school, we went from K to 8, all Black children. And in every town, there was a Catholic school for white children, K to 8. Now, in New Iberia, Louisiana, which is sugarcane country, there were 3 Catholic schools. There was Mount Carmel, was a school for white girls, went from K to 12. And there was Catholic High. It was a school for white boys, K to 12. The Christian Brothers had it. And then we had K to 8. It was a Black school, the St. Edward's. It was founded by Louise and Edward Morrell, Mother Catherine's sister and her brother-in-law, and it was named after him. Anyway, every one of those schools had a school board. So every school board had to sit down with the school board in the same town with them and work something out. The white school's tuition was much higher, and the teachers' pay was much higher than the Black schools. So they had to do some evaluation there. They had to increase the teachers in the Black schools. They had to do back and forth. And it took a whole year of work on these school boards to come to some kind of an agreement with tuition and pay. And then when we integrated, I don't know what exactly happened in the other schools. They were dealing with 2 schools. We were dealing with 3. Sister Carmel was the principal at St. Edward's at the time, and she worked through it. Each school sent one teacher to the other school to help with the integration. So the children would feel, I guess, safe seeing somebody they recognize. After a period of a year, we integrated, but they did not want the Black boys and the white girls in the high school integrating. They were afraid. So in each of these 8 schools, the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament got the primary classes, which were K to 3. And then when the kids got older, they were kind of separated. So it made them feel better anyways. But anyway, we got the little kids, we mixed them up. And it was very interesting. And from the very beginning, it was very, very hard. There was a lot of suspicion. And in New Iberia, the parents were used to having parties for the children and Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and all that. And they used to have it in school. So at the time, Sister Imelda Doyle was the principal at St. Edward's. They approached her. They wanted the Boy Scouts to meet in the school cafeteria after school, but they only wanted the white children. And she said they had to be integrated. If they wanted to use the school, it had to be integrated. And so they started integrating the Girl Scouts and the Boy Scouts. Also, they were used to having parties. They would approach sister had asked her for the names of the white children in their child's class so they could send invitations. And she said, if you want the names of the children and the addresses, you have to have all the children. But all those black children won't come to our house because we're not in a different neighborhood. That's okay. Let them make the decision. And so eventually the kids started going to each other's houses. It took a long time, but the whole atmosphere changed. I was there for 6 years, and then I was transferred back into New Orleans, and then I went back to St. Edward's. Well, 6 years later, Sister Imelda was gone. There was a new principal, and things had improved quite a bit. There were less, the school wasn't as big. Had gone down in numbers, but we held on. I was there for 5 more years, and then I went to a very rural place, was all country in Mallet. It wasn't a school. I was in a CCD center. I was a DRE in 4 parishes. But then I went back again to New Iberia. And in those years, things had changed drastically. The children were so much more familiar. There were great friendships being held. There were friendships among the white parents. And that started back in 1973, I think it was, 73. And I went back again in 1992. And by that time, the school had grown tremendously. Everything was integrated. It was nice seeing children that I had taught in the 1st grade. I saw them confirmed. When I went back the 3rd time, I had their children in my classroom. It was amazing. I never saw children grow up. Anyway, so the school is doing very, very well now. The whole atmosphere in the country area has changed. And the other schools are all closed. New Iberia is the only one that's still working. And this present principal is terribly in love with Katharine Drexel. And the children talk to her like they call her Katie. They talk about Katharine Drexel as if she's their godmother. So things have really improved there. And I am very proud of that. I've been in a lot of other places, and I loved every place I was in. But this place has a big piece of my heart. And I really feel that somehow this must have been Catherine's dream, that we would really share together. And their motto is, we are one in the Eucharist. And that's what they learn when they make their first communion. They find out that they're receiving the body of Christ, which includes all people. And when you see pictures of the kids hanging on each other and kissing each other, and they don't see color. Their parents grew up that first year. There were buses. We had 50 buses coming from all over the area. And when the bus with a number would pull up from a black area, the children would say, that's a colored bus. And they'd say, yes, it's yellow and black. But they don't think that way anymore. The areas are still black and white. They're still kind of segregated. But the mixture is just beautiful. And if every area in the country would go through that process, it would be wonderful. So that's the history of that area. It's a good chunk of my history too. And it's one thing I think the Sisters of the Blessed Sacrament can be proud of, that we were involved in moving whole areas together.